a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Steve Ramona. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramona. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
I know some people are probably tuning in going, oh God, if I can get rid of this one employee, who would my life be so much simpler? But you brought that person in. That person is part of your team. And, you know, I'm trying to shake people out of this belief system. Oh, we're a big, happy family. Steve, that just causes the hairs in the back of my neck to stand up, because I have to tell you, based on my experience, most families are dysfunctional. And so having people saying, oh, we're a big, happy family. Well, I can tell you, I don't want my racist Uncle Bob working in accounting. Thank you very much. Right?
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com, the Business Network, or click the link in the description and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I will always be your host. I'm still going to be your host. I keep saying that, but I know there's new people that come on all the time. Don't know who the hell I am. But I'm glad you're here. And before we start, if you're new, you know I start with a gratitude, because I always want to start these shows off with positivity for you, not just for me and my wonderful guest, but for you as well. And today's gratitude is every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Boy, does that actually talk about my guest today. Holy moly. Well, let's bring him on. Hey, Marc, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's so brilliant to be here. Thank you for having me.
That's just perfect, because that's what we were talking about before the show in different ways. But one thing I like to start my show off with is this is one question. What is the biggest impact you made as of today in your life?
The biggest impact, aside from getting married and having 4 beautiful kids who have grown up to be really good adults, I would say that in my 30s, I changed my mindset as a leader to make sure that my experience with the people who I was responsible for created a legacy.
Legacy.
And that legacy is how they develop, whether they were employees or supervisors or managers within my realm, that we were able to build their skill set up, that they were able to grow when they were with me. And because of that, they've gone on to be brilliant all on their own.
I know the audience is thinking the same thing I am. Man, 4 adult children, you look 25, 30. So good job on that. He looks very young having adult children. But let's jump on legacy, because the servant's heart, that's what the outcome to me is. What does legacy look like to you?
Well, you know, it's interesting because, you know, I think as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as business people, we always get caught up in the moment. And we're always kind of fighting battles in the moment. And what we fail to kind of recognize, and I think COVID helped us a little bit, but we failed to recognize that the people that we're dealing with are actually people. They're not expenses on a financial. They're not the labor costs. They're not, oh God, we have to pay for training. They're actual people who have lives. And I think all too often we forced people for the longest time to check themselves at the door. And they came into work being the person that we saw. And I think what COVID allowed us to do when people started working from home is all of a sudden we started to see, oh, Jane has a dog and Jane has a little kid running around, and kids And Jane's house is not a perfect, meticulous outfit, right? And all of a sudden we realize that the people we're dealing with are actual human beings. And I think that from the standpoint of being like a human being leading other human beings, I think that is just like mind blowing.
Always start with the people, because if you don't have people, I say everybody has in business, you all have people. Whether you're a business coach with 2 clients or you're a CPA with 1,000 clients, and your employees and the people, we have to work with people first. That's the most important thing.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because 25 years on hospitality as a fixer in casinos, hotels, and restaurants. And it used to drive me absolutely crazy. I used to tell people, God, if it wasn't for all the people, hospitality would be a cinch. But that's what makes it hospitality.
Yeah. Love and kindness are a big part of your message. I love that. Sorry for the double entendre, but it's true. How can you tell the audience to bring love and kindness in their business? Because people are like, oh, I can't hug my employees, or I got to watch out with the love and kindness part.
Yeah, so it's dare to lead with love and kindness. And so it's this idea that, we again, forced into crisis in our businesses every single day. When you can stop for a moment, recognize that the person that you have in front of you is a human being. And I see lots of organizations where somebody comes in and everybody's like, oh, we have to walk on eggshells because she's mad, right? And it's similar to the Jefferson story you just told me about going up to the employee and say, hey, you don't seem 100% today. Is there anything you want to talk about? No, I'm fine. If it's okay, if you want some private time, do you need, right? And to be able to acknowledge that somebody is not at 100%. We have in Canada, we have the Canadian Snowbirds. That's the precision flying team. And I was so lucky. I got to hang out with them, and they were telling me that as a pre-show, they all get together and they all individually have to say go or no go based on how they're feeling before they ever step into a plane. And if one of them says no go, the whole team gets together to figure out what is the problem, what needs to happen. Do we need to get a replacement, or is there some way we could support you? And so imagine that you do that for your team before every single shift. As you go around your room, you go around your team, and you go or no go. What's going on, right? And providing an environment, like if people are afraid to say anything to you about how they're feeling, then it's time to look at the culture you as a leader have created. And so this idea of leading with love and kindness, it's, I think, the foundation to the word respect, or to the virtue of respect, is being able to turn around and go, oh God, Irene is always belly aching about something. And it's like, okay, let's change that around a little bit. Let's start looking at Irene as a human being. What does it mean to make her as important to you as the business is to you, or that as important to you as she is to the business? Like, what would happen if you lost Irene right this second? And I know some people are probably tuning in going, oh God, if I can get rid of this one employee, would my life be so much simpler? But you brought that person in. That person is part of your team. And, I'm trying to shake people out of this belief system. Oh, we're a big, happy family. Steve, that just causes the hairs in the back of my neck to stand up, because I have to tell you, based on my experience, most families are dysfunctional. And so having people saying, oh, we're a big, happy family. Well, I can tell you, I don't want my racist Uncle Bob working in accounting. Thank you very much. Right? So more than anything else, I wish, as leading from love and kindness means, why don't we lead within a caring community? Why don't we have, and I use the word community specifically because when you think about that word denotes accountability internally. Accountability for myself, accountability for the people who are around me. And then hopefully likewise, because we're part of that community, other people have the shared accountabilities. They have accountabilities for themselves, but they're also accountable for me and for the other people around. Does that make sense?
It's the only way to do it, because I don't want to have all those obstacles and problems, which are going to come. No business is perfect, and we see them hit it 100 times. We'll hit 100 more times. I'd rather be able, you're my partner. And Mark, God, we got this problem, and we work it out instead of me trying to figure out having sleepless nights, not seeing my family, all the bad stuff that comes with that. And I got to mention go, no go. I love that you shared that story, because for them, if they still went through and the guy says no go, there could be serious consequences like death.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why can't we adopt that in our businesses? Because the death of your company could happen, or you go bankrupt, you go belly up. I love that. So thank you for sharing.
Or you create a crisis that's irreparable with your customer. It's interesting because the healthcare system got into this. Like there's lots of documentation about what the healthcare was like in the 1960s, 1970s. The doctor was the master of the universe, and he went in and if he had to amputate the left leg, he amputated the left leg. What, the left? You mean it was supposed to be the right? Right? And because the nurses had no voice. But today, in today's environments, the whole team has a voice. And so before they ever do anything with a patient, they go around the room and do some semblance of go, no go.
Yeah. And it's powerful for a company. I mean, can you imagine liability and the lawsuits cutting off the wrong leg? It's right. Which led to this. We need this accountability behind this before we do that. I know they mark last time I had surgery, they marked the leg and tell you 3 times, sign here, it's the left leg, which is good.
Yeah.
It just makes it better.
Yep. And confirming every step of the way, right? That way they could call you Righty and not Bob.
Well, let's talk about kindness with somebody you've worked with, a company. Tell us their background, what was happening, and what you did to really benefit them.
I got contracted as a fixer in hospitality. I'm constantly getting invited into helping organizations who've been around for a long, long time. So a lot of mom and pop operations. So for instance, a hotel has been around since 1976. They've been doing the same thing forever and ever and ever. They're in a small community, but now the big brands are starting to set up shop and they're losing market share. And so then I get a call in, and, when I'm meeting with the owners, I see frustration, I see challenges around, like the owners are belly aching that people are lazy, that people aren't showing initiative, that I have to tell them 13 times to do something a certain way, and yada yada yada. There's a whole list of grievances, and I step in, and they want help to change this business, to make it more marketable. And unfortunately, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, right? And so when I step in and I literally sign 4-year contracts, because I recognize in those kinds of environments where the leaders have been hands-on, the owners have been hands-on for so many years, they're so used to doing things a certain way, but now they've expired their capacity. Like, let's face it, like a lot of people tuning in, a lot of people who are entrepreneurs have started their own business. They started their business because they loved something about the industry that they're in. And they started up as a startup, and that meant they did a lot of the work. But a lot of owners are still kind of the manager. They're still dictating how we do things and what we do. And they're the master of their universe. And they hire people, and then they take time to interview and find the best candidate. It's going to be exciting. They get so excited when you come on board, and then they spend the next 6 months shutting you down, not giving you a voice, not giving you agency to be able to make changes or to do what you need to do. And so I typically will go into these organizations that have these kinds of management structures. The reason why they can't pivot, they can't bounce back, they can't adjust to changing markets is because they're too set in their ways. And I sit with the owners and I tell them what an anchor they are to the business. And all of a sudden the chests get pumped up. It's like, yes, I'm an anchor to this. And it's like, yes, you're the one holding it back. Right? But once we start working, so this is the thing, is to change even the marketing or the branding of the particular hotel. We have to start internally. You can't just put lipstick on a pig and expect it to change anything. And so working with owners and operators first, changing their leadership philosophies, changing their people philosophies, changing their operational focus, and being able to really let's look at our employees as our very first customers, as opposed to let's look at them as being a line on a financial statement. Right. And let's start working. And then this idea that, we're still running 20th century habits, which is we give managers way too much work to do. It's like if you're a manager and okay, I want you to manage the team, but you got a whole list of tasks you want to do. You have to hand in the spreadsheet on time. This report needs to be done. This, and this, and this, and this. And then I come to you afterwards, Steve, and I said, Steve, I noticed that you're never on the floor with your team. I think there's something wrong with your leadership style. Right? Ooh. And you shake your head. This happened to me at a casino. A long list of tasks, all the things I need to do. Mark, I need you to do this project and I need that. And then come the evaluation. It's like, Mark, we never see you on the floor. You're not out there with the customers. You're not out there with your team. It's like, how can I be? You've turned me into an administrator and expect me still to do the customer service thing. And so, Steve, I have a philosophy now since the beginning of the year that I'm really preaching hard. And that is, it's bad enough that we don't train our managers to be leaders. At the best of times, we promote people into their role, and then we say, hey, you are a fantastic welder. Why don't we make you the foreman? And you can teach everybody to be as good as you. And so what you're basically saying to this poor sap is, we liked your skill. Now let you invent a skill that you've never had any practice in, and let's see if you're going to be successful with it. And it doesn't work that way. But now add in this new component is what would happen if we turned managers into coaches.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. And I've got to say, when you started the story about working with those owners and they made all those complaints, the lesson you taught an audience, entrepreneur, wherever you are, if you have a business, never point your finger out, point it in, which is they didn't do. It was never their fault. Once it was completely, like you said, the anchor, 100% your fault. So I want to elevate that, but that's huge, and it's brilliant, Mark, that you said that.
And I love the quote. I don't know if you've ever heard the quote. When you're pointing your finger at somebody, you're pointing 3 fingers at yourself.
That's a great one.
And depending on how you're doing it, you're also pointing fingers at God.
That is a good one. That is really good. It's so true. Let's talk about the book, Lights, Camera, Action. Tell us. What's this all about? And now we can have Mark on our nightstand or our coffee table or in our kitchen.
Because, of course, my wife loves it when people want to take me home. Lights, camera, action. Interesting thing happened to me. So in 2015, I got hired by a municipality to do a service excellence program. I was hired on as their economic development officer because they were getting slammed on social media. Not because it was a bad community. People loved coming as a visitor to the river, to the campgrounds, to the golf courses, and the testimonial or the review online would be, it was so great visiting. It's too bad when we went into town and we went to the gas station, this happened. Or I went into the hardware store and this happened. And so they were getting slammed on social media. And so they brought me on board to do a service excellence program within the community to teach, how do we become excellent service providers? How do we take our servant hearts that we created and make that customer focused? Right. And so I put a program together for that. And one day a colleague walks into my office and she says, Mark, you act, right? I said, what? She goes, you act. And I said, well, sometimes act goofy, sometimes act silly, but most times I just act immature. And she's like, no, not like on stage. And so between you and me, it's something I always wanted to do. Never had the gumption to do it. I encouraged my kids to take drama in school. And it's like, oh, this is an opportunity. It's like, but it scared me because I can't remember what I had for breakfast. How am I going to remember lines? So anyway, she invited me. I went to the audition. I got my very first part. And so 4.5 months out, we start rehearsals. And I have to tell you, Steve, after 3 months of rehearsals, going once to twice a week, I don't care how funny the play is. Nothing is funny anymore. Nothing. Right? By 2 weeks out, 2 weeks before opening night, you're pulling out your hair going, why are we doing this? Like, this is stupid. This is so much pressure. Why did I say yes to this? This is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? Like, I don't understand why we put ourselves in this position that it's ridiculous. And then opening night. So I don't know. Have you ever been on stage at all, Steve?
Not acting, no.
Okay, so just to paint the picture, you're backstage. The backstage is kind of like this: couple of lights hanging. You're in the dark. You have enough light to go through because you're anal about your lines, and so every moment you have, you're up against the light bulb trying to remember. Please let me remember this. And so the show's about to start. They flash the lights, and so I have to get into place. So we get our set up, and so I'm standing backstage. My hand is on the doorknob, getting ready to go on stage. My hands are shaking like a leaf. The lights go down, so the whole place is dark. Everything is dark. And the audience goes, ooh. And I know the music's coming. So here comes the music. The lights flood the stage, and I could see the lights pouring through the frame of the door. And it's like, okay, here we go. And I take a breath and I step out on stage. My colleague comes across the other way, and we say our first lines. Now, we're blinded. We're just not in dark. And we're just absolutely flooded with all this light, Steve. It's ridiculous. You can't see anything. But in the interaction, 250 people start laughing all together. And I got goosebumps. And I just realized this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is it. This is the reason. The reason was that we were putting on a show. We were doing it for the benefit of 250 people, 6 nights a week, each night 250 people, to give them an experience. And for a hospitality guy, that was like, I could see the angels. They're blowing their little horns. Like, this was an epiphany. This was mind blowing, because here's the thing. My thought process was, if businesses put the time, attention, and focus into their businesses we did to put on 6 shows, we would have amazing businesses. And so Lights, Camera, Action was kind of that amalgamation of that epiphany. I looked at how we run businesses, and I thought, what would happen if we were doing this as a production? What would happen? Lights is a metaphor for everything foundational. It's the idea. It's how we get started. It's the why behind what we do. It's how we choose our mission and our vision and how we want to serve the world. Camera is all about becoming camera ready. It's like, that's our brand. That's how we want to reflect to the world. It's how we want people to perceive us when they first see us. Because here's an interesting thing. The day after we'd opening night, I was so blown away. I could barely sleep that night. I was so excited. I went in 2 hours early before everybody else was, but I went into the venue and I turned on the lights to the stage before I turned on any other lights. It was the first time I saw the stage all lit up by itself. I saw what the audience saw. And I thought instantly, you got time, place, purpose. You understood right away where you were just by looking at the stage. Mm-hmm. Can people say the same thing about a local hardware store, or about an optician's clinic, or about the welding shop, or a garage? Can people get a sense of their values that you have? Can they get a sense of how important their focus is, or their attention to detail is, and that sort of thing? We've all heard the adage, right? If you want to check out how good a restaurant is the first time, you go to the washroom to see if the washroom's clean. If it's dirty, leave, because if the washroom's not clean, chances are the kitchen isn't either. Right? But this is all, and so Lights, Camera, Action is all around kind of all these different components of what are the various different touch points that we have control over, that we could start designing experiences about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's powerful. It's actually a cool metaphor image that people can really grasp. It's simple. You simplified it, because it's got to be simple. Business is complicated and complex. If you can simplify it, it makes it easier. Let me do something for you, Mark. Audience, if you stayed this long, you're going to get rewarded. The first 5 people that reach out to Mark and mention this podcast, I'm going to send you his book for free. So you can have Lights, Camera, Action in your house or your office that you can lean on and help build your business. And if you don't have a business, take it, gift it to somebody, and make an impact with somebody else. There's always a way with a book or a podcast. I'll talk about that in a minute, what we can do. Let's end with a fun question, because I want to learn more about you, even though we learned a lot. So I come out to your area in Canada. You're going to pick your favorite restaurant. I want you to invite 3 people, whether they're dead or alive right now, who've impacted your life. For me, I want you to order the food, because I'm the foodie. I want to see what you like.
That's interesting. You know, what's interesting about that is when I go out to eat now, I've got to the point where I get super curious about people. And so I will sit and tell the server, so here's your menu back. I don't have any allergies. I have no flavor preferences or anything. I'd like you to go and talk to the chef and make me something you're super proud of. Do you know, in all the times I've been doing that, 25, 30, 40 times, I've only had one operation say, I'm sorry, the chef won't do that. The rest of the time, they get so pumped. So and it's fun because you don't know what you're going to get, right? Anyway, so 3 people dead or alive that have influenced me. Number 1 would be David. He was my first partner. We got together back. He hired me as his manager for 3 restaurants, and then we became partners. And he was one of the ones who instilled in me integrity in processes, living up to our promises, being able to look at people as being people. Stephen Covey was probably the first book I read. I wasn't a big reader as a child, but as I used to commute to work, I read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it was the first time I read my philosophy on pages. Like things I inherently knew, it was the first time I read that.
Wow.
And I just thought, wow, it's just ridiculous. It was just every time I could not wait to commute back home or going to work, because I knew that's when I picked up the book and would continue to read it. And it had such a radical effect on me. The third person I would probably invite to dinner is Amy Adams. I don't know. I'm sorry. I have a celebrity crush. Amy Adams, I just adore her. I adore the roles she plays. I adore every time I see her in interviews, the kind of person she is. Just brilliant. So she's on my list.
Best Lois
as
Lane
far
in
as
Superman. The best Lois Lane in Superman. She's the best.
Oh
Lois
yeah, and the
Lane
new one,
Superman.
yes.
Yes, very good.
Yeah. No, she's just such a good actress. And now that I've gotten into acting and I see kind of the magic behind it all, it's like I just really, really appreciate it. So I have a huge celebrity crush on Amy.
It's beautiful.
And then as far as, you know, I was just with my wife, we were just talking to some friends of mine, and today is my 38th wedding anniversary. And so we're taking my wife out for, thank you very much. And we're going out for supper tonight. And we were talking about, about going out and eating and all this. And my wife is like, Mark is just way too curious and way too easy with taking chances. My wife is very much, you tell her we're going to go someplace, she's checking all the reviews online, right? This one's got a 4.8 out of 30,000 people. That can't be good. And it's like, it's 4. What are you talking about? So she's very kind of risk averse when it comes to spending money on food. And the fact that I grew up in hospitality, I was also a chef. So a lot of times when we go out to eat, I actually look at it and go, I should just stay at home and cooked it myself. But I'm very curious about food and flavor profiles. And I have to say the weirdest thing I ever ate was deep fried, freeze-dried scorpion.
Ooh. Okay. That's what I hear, but I'm not that curious. I'm going to let you be that curious, but that's beautiful. Mark, I appreciate you taking the time, especially on your anniversary. I know you got to go and enjoy a wonderful time with your wife. How can people connect with you? Because I know you've got some people thinking, I got to talk to Mark.
Lovely. So Mark at marchaine.com, of course, it's spelt the French way. My dad was Belgian. And so he looked at my name. He goes, no, we are not going to spell it with a K. We're going to spell it with a C. And that way it'll confuse the whole world. And so it's Marc Haine. So you can reach me at marchaine.com. You can check out my my podcast. It's Marc Haine Live on YouTube. Experience Leadership, the Small Business Podcast on Spotify and everything else. Yeah, I'm easy to find. Just Google my name, Marc Haine, and follow my blogs, follow my podcast, and all my content. And reach out if you want to say hi.
Yeah, please do. And don't forget the book, free book. If you don't get the book, share this podcast out with people that are struggling in their business. What a good elite board for them, learning some of this stuff, being in the moment, all these different things that Marc talked about. And subscribe to his podcast, my podcast, anything that resonates with you. Because I believe podcasts are truly a gift and can impact others by just one word, one sentence, and it can make a difference. And I think we did that today as well. So with that being said, me and Marc, with a C, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have an awesome day, everybody.